Hey everybody, Swati Kapta Kaptukon, hello, and I'm here in beautiful Stuttgart, Germany. Um, Today I'm going to talk about Thailand. We're going to talk about historical, geographic, political, socioeconomic factors that affect education. So first of all, education used to be totally under the purview of monks in temples. This was temple education, only for males. Next, we had a Catholic influence from the 1550s to the 1650s. Um, Brought the Catholic religion. This was from France. Next, we have the fact that neighboring countries such as Burma, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, the Philippines, they were all colonized by Western powers. Thailand was not. Thailand was a buffer between British Burma and French Indochina. So the, their education system wasn't structured like the developed countries um, as as soon as the other countries were. In that it was until like the late 19th century that we had rapid modernization in education. So let me talk about King Rama V. King Rama V continued to influence the development of education, and in 1871 we had the first modern school. Uh, in 1897, the Queen admitted girls to the educational system, so that's awesome. 1898, we had the two-part education system that included preschool, elementary, secondary, technical, and higher education. In 1932, Thailand moved from an absolute monarchy to a constitutional monarchy, and this was a push from academics and other people in power. Basically, they took control of the government and gave the option for the king to sign it away. So Thai people think King Rama the Seventh gave them democracy when in fact his hands were tied and he had to. In 1960, um, so after a constitutional monarchy, there was more of a push towards education and even more modernization. So in 1960, compulsory education extended to 7 years. In 1977, they changed it to the current format they have now, which is a 6-3-3 system. So they have 6 years of primary school, 3 years of lower secondary education, which is mandatory, and then they have their 3 years of upper secondary education, which is optional. Looking particularly at primary school students, they have a low IQ, 93 compared to 100. And Thai academics think that education may be harming IQ. There's a notable difference between the IQs of students in city and rural settings. So you have to kind of look at the resources in place in rural settings. Now there's these princess projects, which is the monarchy trying to start more schools and give more resources to hill tribe communities in the north, particularly. I was involved in a training of primary school teachers. So basically, they were um, volunteers that wanted to teach but didn't have training. So I went up like 3 different times and just kind of taught them how to teach with a communicative approach to English. Um, Another factor. So when you think of school uniforms, usually you think that students don't like them, but actually in Thailand, I found that they do like them because um, it kind of it's kind of like a symbol of equality. Everybody has to wear the same clothes. You can't tell who has more money or less money. Um, Now looking at English education in primary schools, students begin learning English in pre-K, which is 3 to 5 years old. They put their kids in school really, really early. So they learn the alphabet and like the colors, basic things. And this goes on until kindergarten, which starts at age 6. And so what I found was kind of the same topics get regurgitated, and the students don't really learn anything new from year to year. Um, in the most recent Education First English Proficiency Index, which ranks English speaking in general, Thailand was 53rd, only above Libya. And looking at primary school students' English average scores from the ONET, which is the Ordinary National Education Test, a standardized test. Out of a score of 100, students scored 31.75 in 2010 and 20.99 in 2011. Now, when this happened, there was a great controversy. Some people doubted the consistency and the validity of the tests. Other people looked at teaching and learning practices in English language classes in Thai schools. Now, looking at the political socioeconomic factors, when we look at teachers, they're largely unqualified, poorly trained. The students are poorly motivated. There's learners of mixed abilities in large class sizes. So a normal class size would be about 40 people, which is way too much for any language classroom. And there aren't any opportunities for students to speak English outside of the classroom unless they live in a tourist area. Also, the teaching methods in place are very traditional, very teacher-centered. The students are very passive in that they regurgitate the information that they're expected to know. And also, if a foreigner like myself when I was in Thailand, if I dress nice and I looked like a good teacher, people would think I was a good teacher. I was never once assessed either in university or when I worked in a secondary school. So it's not good. Next, I'm going to talk about corruption. So there's corruption basically at every level. The director of a school, when he retires, always seems to have a new BMW or Mercedes-Benz. So I actually was offered a teaching to teach like a English training in a technological college, and they gave me a lot more money than they said they would give me. Now I had to give a big chunk of that to the director. I had to give some money to the teacher who worked at the technological college, who found me, and then I had to give money to my Thai mom, who knew the other teacher and facilitated me working there. So everybody's pockets got a little padded. In 2015, Thailand officially adopted the Common European Framework, although in practice nothing has changed at all. There's also too much school in Thailand. They go to school at 8 o'clock in the morning until 4 p.m., and then after that they have extra class, usually from the teachers in school, so that there's a lot of these tutoring businesses in Thailand. There's also a culture of saving face. It's an Asian culture. So students very rarely fail a class in order for them and the parents to save face. This could also explain why there's so little professional development and constructive criticism within the education system. A major political factor driving English education is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, and the economic community that they began at the end of 2015. So English trainings were encouraged at every level from the government. And Thailand is worst in terms of the overall English in all of ASEAN. For the 20th century, for most of the 20th century, Thailand has been beset by a number of coups, mostly with very strong military backing. Case in point is the coup in 2014, which is seen as business as usual. Money is being poured into education, but mismanagement is rampant. And also we have foreign backpackers who go into the school. They're not really motivated to work, to be an effective teacher because the pay is low. The wages haven't kept up with inflation. So these are some socioeconomic, political, historical, and geographic factors that influence education. That's what I got.